Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and I'm about to go on another road trip and bring you with me, and I'm actually a little bit nervous. I'm doing something a little bit different today, and that is I'm going to interview somebody that's been in the industry for many years and is probably well known because he pops up absolutely everywhere and is an all-round great guy. I've worked out recently we've got a few things in common, and one of them being that we both encourage other people into the hobby, especially younger flyers, younger people, to get into our incredible hobby and share with them. So I'm really excited. He's also a bit of a TV celebrity. Some of you will probably already guess who it is, but let's go to Guildford and find out. So guys, I'm here now and we have made it to Bagshot, not Guildford. I got that wrong earlier on. I don't know why, just confused, too early in the morning. Not enough caffeine either. And I am of course with the one and only Martin Thompson.
Oh, thank you, Matt. Good morning, good morning.
And thank you for joining me. Good to see you again.
Likewise. All good. Thank you for having, well, I say thank you for having me. Thank you for coming up.
You don't know what I'm going to ask yet.
So. No idea. So we'll subdue the nerves and hope it goes okay.
Thank you. But thank you for the opportunity. And I said to everybody earlier on, an interesting character who I've briefly known in the industry, but you kind of pop up here, there and everywhere. And I know from these questions we've put together that you've got a very interesting background as well. And I'll say very entrepreneurial as well.
Very kind, yes.
Which I will use because it's really interesting. So I'm just going to dive in and start asking you some questions.
Absolutely.
If that's okay. And guys, you will know, for once I am actually prepared and have actually written some questions down because we're going to try and do this as a bit of an interview.
Okay.
And try and throw in some background footage for you guys as well when we're talking about different topics. But let's start at the beginning if we can. All those years ago.
All those years.
I will note you are far younger than I am.
21 years ago.
21. So let's go back.
21 years ago this Christmas.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So it's
very relevant because we are the week before Christmas.
It certainly is.
So let's go back to the grand old age of around 7, I believe, when you first got into all things radio controlled. Tell us about that.
Absolutely, Matt. No, great question. So, my goodness, 7 years old. So 7 years old, it was Christmas, whatever year it was, when I was 7, 21 years ago. I think 2004? 2004.
It was, yeah.
Quick maths as well. So yeah, 2004, it was Christmas. And up prior to that point, I was like 4, 5, 6 years old, I would make aeroplanes out of bits of A4 paper. And then it got to the point where it was like making aeroplanes that were bigger. So I was just literally sellotaping A4 bits of paper together, and to kind of give them their strength, I guess, as a rudimentary wing spar, I was using a green bamboo stick to hold them together. And then my mum took me into Addlestone Models to get a little brushed motor set up that I then tried attaching
to motorise a paper aeroplane.
To motorise, absolutely. So we did that, and my mum was terrified that my paper aeroplane brushed powered motor creations would kind of fly off and go
kill somebody.
Mothers would think like
of course
we all have them. It would fly into Intercontinental, or it'd probably land up at Gatwick or Heathrow or something like that. And just by chance for Christmas, my gran got me like a little Argos not an indoor, like a really basic 2004 like radio controlled aircraft from Argos, and it was just a single channel. It was on a slider and you could just slide the throttle up and it would make the motor go up.
Okay, yeah. So a step up from the paper, homemade, motorised.
Absolutely, I could control the throttle, so I could reduce it from flying off.
That was your first radio controlled aircraft?
That was.
Wow.
Fond times.
That's absolutely awesome.
Fun times.
So that kind of went on, but then something else I'm really intrigued about is you actually then started a business.
Well, yes.
At the age of
10.
Age of 10 years.
I guess, yes. It's an interesting one. Matt, because there's kind of like as time's gone on, I've been quite fortunate. People kind of come up and talk about the business. I don't really know. I guess I did start a business, but I didn't really see it like that. It was just maybe connecting some dots or stuff. So that all just started off. It was like the early days of eBay, and I got 12 9-gram servos from China.
Yeah.
I paid for the 12. I paid like 19, 20 quid. And I sold them for £3 each or 2 for a £5.
Yeah, okay.
And they all sold at the local flying club. Everything started from there, basically.
Wow. That was just it. How did you get to that point where you've ordered servos from China? Was it just you were getting stuff for your own hobby interests, and you thought, actually, I can make a couple of quid here to pay for the next thing?
That mindset came a little bit later. I actually purchased the servos with no intent. I guess I don't actually know why I purchased those servos. looking back on it, maybe it was a case of they were available, so I purchased them. I really can't remember. But the whole business element actually came from I took these servos to kind of show off to club members up the local flying club, and I always had this saying: if someone crashed their plane, was "Can I have it?"
Yeah.
Which, after you've just crashed your plane, having a little kid come up to you and go, "Can I have it?" Did result in one time having duct tape wrapped around my face. It probably, but the early 2000s was a different period, Matt. It was a different time. So I had this duct tape that I had to peel off my face, and I was thrown into a gorse bush on another occasion.
There's some stories there.
There's some stories. There. I'm sure. So. Yeah, that was it.
So you effectively, we're going to call that running a business, because that is entrepreneurial at a young age. You've seen an opportunity, you brought in some products, and you're selling some products to your local network, which was the flying club.
Model flying club, yes, yeah, that's it. And it was just
also at school though. You're also at school.
Well, yes.
So we're going to come more onto education as part of this conversation.
Yeah.
I've already alluded to in the intro that one of the things we have in common is very much encouraging others into the hobby, supporting people in our hobby, but also encouraging, I'm going to say, the next generation.
Absolutely.
Doing stuff around there. So we're going to touch on you running a business at school, then we're going to come back to that kind of topic later on. But you're at school, you're age 10, you're running a business. I'm presuming that taught you skills which weren't being necessarily taught at school.
It's a good question, and I was trying to think of this actually this morning. Kind of like when I was at school, and I guess to some, it's an interesting one. It was kind of we're at school, I'm doing the business. And it's a case I think just people never really understood me at school. If I'm entirely honest, I changed around schools. That got the good old dyslexia, and there was ADHD, and there were all these fun trials for various other things that I could have. But I guess at the time I didn't know that was the reason behind all of this. So at one element you're kind of at school, then on the other end there's kind of like conversations in the background about Martin and his educational problems and
behaviour. I think it's fair to say, let's touch on this point.
Yeah, far away.
If that's okay. I think things like ADHD, autism, dyslexia, I can't even say the word. I mean, I struggle myself a little bit with spelling, grammar. I get to a point where I'm trying to spell a word, I'm so confused over it, I put all the wrong letters in that word. So there's different ends of the scale. But I think those areas in schools nowadays are much more aware of them. There's the SEN and everything, they're much more aware of that. They have specialist teachers to help and deal with it, and diagnostics is much earlier, but possibly not 15, 20 years ago.
15, 20 years ago. No, it's interesting. Interesting with that. So kind of with all of that, I just never felt I fitted in, and then obviously moving schools a lot. Again, you're sort of trying to fit into a new friendship.
Yeah.
Everyone likes football or sports, and I liked aeroplanes.
Yeah. No, I was there too. Yeah.
You were there.
I can't kick a football.
I detested it. I still don't understand it. So, back to kind of what it taught me at school. I guess maybe it was something just to look forward to at the end of the day. It was just something to maybe keep my mind off school. Well, I guess if you're at school, you should really be thinking about school. But it just kind of kept my mind off it, and at the end of the day,
it completely relates to you. I mean, I'm not an academic person. I'm still not an academic person.
No.
You know, I learn through doing things.
Yes.
I can't read books. I've never read a book from start to end because it doesn't hold my attention. And I used to look forward to, slightly older than you, I think probably about 12, 13 when I got into the hobby, but look forward to the weekend.
Yes.
Going flying in the summer, the Tuesday evening, the Thursday evening, whenever I go flying. My mind was always focused on the plane,
absolutely,
and flying and doing something with it. But still staying on that school topic. So then you left school at 16 and took a path.
Yes, I actually left school.
Countryside management, I want to say.
You are correct. I actually left school a little bit earlier.
Okay.
So I was 13.
Oh.
I was out of school for a year, and that was kind of when the business really took off.
Yeah. Focus on the business.
Focus on the business. When, of course, what else do you do when you're 13? And out of school. So I was out of school for a year, then moved schools. Then, it came into doing 16, and it was countryside management. And that all actually stemmed from when I finished at school, we had to do a week's work experience.
Yeah, I can remember the week's work experience.
What did you do for your week's work experience?
I've done
Matt?
2. I think when I was at college, I went into the Navy.
Okay.
Doing aircraft repair. I remember
awesome.
old Harrier in there, and they were like taking things apart. We just did fun stuff. Obviously, they let me touch anything in there.
Yes.
And I can't remember. The other one, I worked in a bicycle shop.
Okay.
Where they were manufacturing parts of bikes, and they just got me to file loads of metal parts down. I don't think I went back after day 2 because it was just like hours and hours of literally the filing. Yeah. You seem to be better than I am. Taught me nothing.
Okay. No, I guess maybe that's something we'd touch on later with work experience and stuff. For myself, it was I'd always done model aeroplane flying on Chobham Common, so my week's work experience was helping Surrey Wildlife Trust manage Chobham Common.
Awesome.
For a week. So my whole job, similar to you and filing, I guess there'd be 2 differences. Instead of filing, I was filling up cattle troughs with a water bowser. And I loved it so much. I don't know, because there was a little engine, so you had to, with the pull start, and then go to the water, and then we had to...
That engineering theme.
Oh!
That's coming back from the making the paper airplanes and putting the motor on it, to the hobby, that engineering underlying theme there.
Absolutely, and I just loved it. And when that week's work experience was over, I was heartbreak. I was honest. That was probably like my first true heartbreak. Was
it?
My work experience being over. I think we might have had slightly different experiences. With
I can't wait to go back to school, which I did enjoy.
take you back, and I stayed on there for another 3 years. Doing that work experience, all unpaid, helping on.
Really? Wow.
I loved it, but while doing the business in the background.
Let's talk more about that. So you've managed to turn passion into a business, and I think you've said at 18 roughly you went into full-time buying and selling model aircraft.
Correct. So after the 3 years of work experience was over, the team got made redundant, and it was like
what should I do now?
What do I do now? And at that time I had a car. The world was my oyster, so to say.
Yep, remember that feeling? Getting your driving licence, independence.
The freedom, absolutely. Independence, freedom, and I just started travelling the country non-stop. picking up collections of model aircraft. I look back on it now like like an 18-year-old kid. Someone's family member's just deceased, and this 18-year-old kid turns up with his silver Vauxhall Corsa.
I was going to say, what car?
Silver Vauxhall Corsa, and just cramming aeroplanes in. And I just loved it. And I've pretty much done that non-stop for.
I think that's quite interesting
10 years.
To encourage other people. So back then, say about 10 years ago, did you have like a web presence? How did you advertise the fact that you were able to go and buy and sell in the second-hand market?
Great question. For that at those times, I kind of look back on it with rose-tinted glasses. As you would do, you kind of think, oh, everything 10 years ago was much better or much nicer. It was mainly through Facebook. So even when I was at school, a lot of it was either selling on eBay, but that didn't really quite work. I found eBay was a market that was accessible to everyone. But when you're selling kind of second-hand model goods, for someone who does model flying saying, oh, it needs a new prop, they think, they'd kind of look at the engine, okay, it's a 46, 11.7, 11.6 or something like that. Yeah. They just know. But for someone who's started, and I guess I shouldn't be discouraging people from joining the hobby, but when you're selling stuff second-hand, trying to explain all the bits required.
You've got a learning curve to go through when you start anything new in life, right?
There's a learning curve.
Yeah.
So I just found people on eBay would just open up cases and want full refunds, and it was like...
Didn't work out. So Facebook Marketplace was probably the better place.
Facebook, it was before Marketplace, so it was back in the day, Matt. So it was, the good old unofficial
Don't
BMFA.
Start, I remember when Facebook started.
Oh, Matt,
I'm that old.
One score to Matt.
I'm in that one.
You're in that one. So that was how it started. Was just Facebook groups.
That's cool. I love that. We're going to come back to that as well.
Yeah, far away.
Topic a little bit, but Bangladesh.
Oh yes.
At age 21, let's talk about that because it's all part of your journey.
Yes.
Really?
Bangladesh.
What took you there?
Great question. Bangladesh when 21. We'll jump back quickly to when I was 20.
Okay.
And it was the Channel 4 Battle of Britain Model Squadron documentary.
Yes, it was, wasn't it? Which I do apologise, was in my notes and I've skipped over it because this is more relevant.
No problem. But it's all linked. Everything we'll talk about all stemmed from 7-year-old Martin and his paper aeroplane. So it's all fine. So I was doing the business, 18, 19. It was growing every year, growing until when I was 20. And at that time I was the membership secretary for the Chop and Common Model Flying Association. Oh, nice. And one day got an email. We've seen an article on the local news group about you guys flying warbirds. Would you be interested in participating in a Channel 4 documentary on model aeroplanes and the war?
Yes, pick me.
Me. That was exactly how it went, Matt. So after doing that experience, it was like 10 days. It wasn't so much the fact it was television, but it was more the fact that the journey we went on in that 10 days was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And just walking away from that experience, I thought, well, I've spent all my time up until this point playing with model aeroplanes in the office we're in now. This was my world for my kind of formative years. So all of a sudden having this television experience, I thought, what else could I do? So I thought, let's have a look at volunteering overseas.
Nice, very nice.
That was how Bangladesh came.
Okay, so you went there as volunteers to help out. What were you doing?
Absolutely. So Bangladesh, it was part of an organisation that I think still running was VSO, but they're not running the placements anymore. And that was just basically, again, you look on it and think, wow, times were different back then. I signed up on the internet. And by signing up on the internet, I then got shipped off to Bangladesh for 3 months, which...
Well, I'm not sure that website. We're going to start that one out.
have a look. So yeah, there was obviously pre-placement training, all the security, all the safety.
Yeah. It was legit.
It was legit, but it's when you're out there thinking, I've got here by signing a form on the internet. It was brilliant. So did that, and we were out in a really rural part of Bangladesh, staying in host homes, and it was in. I guess maybe this was the first time, through all the businesses and stuff, at that point, I'd always run them on my own. I'd always done everything on my own. That was the first time, like, being in a group of people my own age, because model flights are normally a little bit older.
Yes.
It's the first time being in a group of my own age, and it was like, oh, this is quite a cool experience, but I almost guess probably bragging a little bit now, or maybe how it went. There was, like, when it came to the business elements, there was just maybe things like, I just wanted to get out and do something. I didn't want to be sat around.
Yeah.
So we landed, we sort of did all the basic training and country training, but we were sat on a roof doing nothing for 3 weeks. So I got properly annoyed at this, and sort of just effectively and appointed myself supreme leader of the little group. So it's just, let's just, I don't care if we make a mistake, but let's try.
Yeah. That's an important life lesson, isn't it? It doesn't, I can't remember what the famous saying is, so I won't even try and say it, but if you don't try,
you won't succeed.
Exactly. Or trying and making a mistake, you're always learning and growing.
That's it. You miss all the shots you don't take, or
combination of those
or other applicable theoretical sayings. And that was basically, and I just loved that, because it'd be, okay, let's wake up in the morning, right, we're going to interview 1,000 people, or how can we nationalise what we're doing, or how can we... the basic thing we were doing was teaching people in the local community to run and set up their own businesses.
Nice.
Which was something I was quite passionate about, and for myself being out there, it wasn't so much a case I wasn't doing this placement as part of my CV. I've got my own businesses, I don't need a job. I'm not doing this to tick a box. So I just wanted to do what I thought was right when it came to running the programs or sourcing it.
I think an awesome life experience, and I will just do like a little bit of a proud dad moment, if that's right for you, because I think I said to you earlier, I have 3 children, my eldest being 19, Grace.
Okay, yes.
She's just finished her A-levels, and she's just volunteered.
Oh, congratulations!
To 3 different countries. So she's going to Sri Lanka, which I have some background in, because I've run a business over there before. India.
Okay.
And also Bali. She's going away for 9 weeks. She's organised everything by herself.
Oh my goodness!
So done their internet website. They're still out there. You can still do this.
Oh yes.
Filled out the forms, and she's booked it all. And she's volunteering. She'll be teaching English and maths and just helping out while she's out there.
Brilliant.
And I think just great to hear from somebody who's actually done that themselves, got great life experience from it. I look forward to perhaps talking about her experiences of that when she gets back in March.
Absolutely. It's just, and congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Very, very proud of doing that. And also very, very kind of worried and nervous, as any parent would be. Like, take your phone with you. At least I can communicate with her every day.
Take your phone. I just remember, I don't know what I remember when I first told my mum that I was going away to Bangladesh, and I was just walking out to my car, I think, to go and pick up some aeroplanes, and I just said, Mum, by the way, I'm going to be away for 3 months. And I'd never been overseas before. I'd only just got my passport, and I didn't know at that point where I was going. I thought, you naturally... probably naively of myself being kind of English and all of that, you think of volunteering, you think Africa or somewhere. So I just said to my mum, I think I'm going to be away for 3 months in Africa. And she, what?
No, you're not.
No, you're...
Or did she boot you out the door and say bye?
Pretty much. Okay, well, we won't. Well, yeah, you can't. If you put your mind to something, Martin, it's pointless me saying anything to...
she knew you well enough by that. That absolutely awesome experience. But let's relink back into that Channel 4 Battle of Britain and talk more about television experience, which we've touched on this morning when we've had a quick catch-up. I want to talk about Beauty and the Geek, which I believe was a show. Was it Channel 4 as well?
That was at the time Discovery Plus, and then it was kind of to launch a new online streaming platform. Then it moved across to the Really channel.
So it's been everywhere. But talk us about what is Beauty and the Geek first of all.
Beauty and the Geek. Normally, for this point, I'd be quite lucky if we insert an image of Henry Calvert here, who was a fellow geek on the show. Henry Calvert always has this beautiful punchline because I can never explain it properly. But basically, Beauty and the Geek is it's like a social experiment, so to say.
Okay. Yep.
The premise is that geeky people. Like myself, I like aeroplanes.
You went in the beauty category.
Oh,
I've been waiting all day to do that.
You did very good. Only if, from this angle, yes, but from this angle, this is the geek angle. So we did the show. So yeah, it is kind of like geeky people. Can they find? Can geeky people paired with beautiful people, so modelling industry or girls that are aesthetically attractive, I think is the correct term. Can those like different social circles?
Yeah. So it is a social experience. I think we're stating obviously how we take a stereotypical geeky person, and a stereotypical beautiful, attractive person, and pair them together to form a relationship.
Yes, absolutely, and see how they kind of go in that process. And again, for myself, with that, it wasn't so much about the aspect or the prospect of being on television. It was that point. Heck, I was 24 at that time. We'd done COVID. It's sort of, you kind of finish school, you're running the business.
Not that long ago then, really, think about it. Yeah.
No. It feels long, about 3 years ago, coming up to 4 years ago next year. So it was very much kind of a case of done the business, Wildlife Trust, business, excuse me, business, COVID. And then COVID sort of changed the world in like, Christ, there's so many things that have affected people's lives that the death toll was in the millions or tens of millions, and the whole world shut down for like 2 years. I thought, well, I could catch COVID tomorrow and I could die or something.
It's a very surreal moment. I think a lot of people probably relate to that.
Surreal. So for myself, I thought, oh, Christ. I'd always been kind of surrounded by model aircraft flyers who were fairly jaded on the concept of marriage and relation.
Worn down over the years. I think I'm possibly one of those now.
The joys of love and romance. So all of that sort of went through, and I thought, oh, fine, okay, one thing I better look into is sort of relationships. How the hell do you... I don't want to download Tinder and spend my life doing this. I thought the easiest way out was by doing a reality TV show, and I thought I'd find a wife and get married off, and it'd all be happily ever. Happily ever.
I'm not sure if that's the easiest avenue, but it's definitely a pathway.
It was an avenue. So that was,
And you won it.
And I won it, yes. I was a reality TV show winner.
Wow, so, I don't think many people can say that. So congratulations on that. No, it was quite...
thank you. We'll insert some emojis of hand clapping.
We will do that. Emojis are drifting down now on the screen.
Emojis are drifting down. So I did that.
Any? I'm not going to dive right into that.
No.
This time around, we're going to get back onto the hobby.
Yeah.
Going through to hobby. But any one takeaway from that to share?
Yes, there'll be a couple. An apology. We'll divert off the track. There was a couple. There was more than a couple. It was life changing. It was life changing because I was 24. Won a reality TV show. I'd spent a month living in London, kind of VIP treatment where if you go, fancy minibuses, chauffeurs, or anything cool, and then obviously kind of you meet a girl on the show, you win it, you have all of that. So I finished that and I thought, I am sick of model aeroplanes. I am
Oh.
sick of them. So I got rid of the company, and I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do now, but it will never involve model aeroplanes ever again.
Wow.
Ironic. So that was kind of the one. It was like it's such. Maybe not disruptive might be the wrong word, but it changes everything. You're not the same for good, for bad, whatever.
Is that public eye
The
focus?
The public eye is an element of pressure, but I never did the show I did the show as part of a personal journey to.
Yeah, but it comes with it, doesn't it? If you're being filmed, you're on television, you know.
It comes with it. Yeah, it comes with it, and especially on the fact from filming to airing, it's like 6 months, and you can't tell anyone. So for 6 months, you're just in your own head.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of pressure, associated with it.
Okay. Yeah. So I think we could probably do a whole separate video conversation on just that.
Yes.
And their journey afterwards. But let's go back onto
aeroplanes.
Because at this point, you've done Beauty and the Geek. You've won it. You're in the public eye.
Yeah.
You've given up on aeroplanes.
I've given up on aeroplanes.
That's not the case because I've been around. It's not the case right now. But you're almost at a breaking point. I think is that fair?
I think a breaking.
Not broken. So I apologise. But a breaking point from that, and you're rebuilding.
Completely. I guess maybe completely broken. Mentioning the violin.
We'll drop one there.
We'll drop one of those. It's a case of kind of, I guess around that like period, I'd worked so hard. I didn't really know what I had until I'd sort of given up on it all and got rid of it all. So I thought, okay, what I'd like to do is, the highlight of my life to that point was the Bangladesh journey, building, creating, delivering the businesses. So I wanted to do the same, but with like aviation. So I wanted to kind of pass. Heck, I took a hobby when I was 7 years old to winning a kind of a national TV show, and all the other journeys that had come in from between. So the amount of it all stemmed through model aeroplane flying. So I just wanted to give people the same opportunities that I had.
Yeah,
so.
Cool. We're going to come into a bit more of a deep dive on that.
Yeah.
Before we do, though, we're going to talk briefly about, and it was brief, you worked for a UAV company.
Oh!
That's how you sort of started getting back into it, I guess.
Back into it. So, yes, that would have been around December-ish time. So I sort of stopped the business, wanted to sort of kind of grow things to another. I wanted an empire, so to say. So I didn't really know quite what to do. The bank account was sort of decreasing, so it's like, okay, I've actually got to
get income.
I've got to get an income.
Yep.
I've got to get an income now. So I was quite lucky. I got offered this job flying UAV, doing surveys of oil rigs and sort of.
Sounds interesting. Sounds great. But tell me.
Absolutely, the premise sounded absolutely brilliant, but in reality, I realised I'm probably better off running my own businesses. That's the polite version, but it all combinated into apparently a part that's become kind of an iconic moment for the company of me just kind of getting up, throwing my keys on the desk, taking my jacket off, and just I didn't want to do it, but I was pushed to breaking point. I couldn't do it.
I think it's different
anymore.
I actually have a friend that works for a UAV company, possibly not the same company.
No.
And these aircraft go out and survey the oil rigs. You know, he takes them off and he lands them effectively, and all the rest of it's just done by satellite or whatever crazy technology. And he's enjoying it. He does a lot behind the scenes. But your background is different. You've come from a very entrepreneurial kind of used to running business, and I think. Not saying my other friend isn't entrepreneurial, don't mean to say that at all, but
no.
Once you've run a business and you've been that person that's responsible for every single decision,
yep,
and you got used to that, because I can relate to this because I run a business. It's hard to then work for somebody else because you've got views, you've got opinions, you think to do stuff. You know, it can just be difficult.
You're absolutely. It's a different pace, and maybe this stems back into maybe subconsciously managing the ADHD or the dyslexia through running the business. But it's almost the case when, for me, it's like I like to feel every single second in the day. Every single second in the day's got to be doing something productive, even if that productivity is just sitting still for 10 minutes. Recharging, but then maybe making a list thinking, okay, well, I need to I've got Matt coming this morning. Okay, well, I'll just have a quick read through, and everything's like a seamless integration into the day. But when you're working for a company and there's people around you that go, well, if we do the work, we get paid. If we don't do the work,
we get paid.
We get paid.
Yeah.
That's not
It's
my.
different
that's not my.
Not. So that lasted a short period of time.
Very short period of time.
A few months.
Yes.
And then from there, I believe, back to having the entrepreneurial vision, you went and brought a couple of companies in the industry. Is that okay?
You are spot on. I didn't want to buy the companies, Matt. The last thing I wanted to do was buy companies. The passion was promoting aviation.
Okay.
That hadn't gone away.
So that's the umbrella. How can I do this? How can I promote aviation?
Correct. I sat down and had a long, hard think about, more. I had 6 months to think about life and everything involved with it. Like after Beauty and the Geek, I think from that I've travelled around the world, Australia twice, met with other reality TV show contestants, met with kind of all London Fashion Week, met all the beautiful women and models and all the fun and partying that came with that. And if that wasn't enough to persuade me from model aircraft, I had to succumb to the fact that I couldn't get rid of this sodding love for the damn hobby.
The hobby.
It won't go away.
Wow.
So I thought, okay, I want to promote aviation, and it is linked to the businesses. So I went to all the main manufacturers. Can you do this? The answer was no. So I thought, fine, I'm just going to have to do it myself. So to do that, I just had to buy some companies and become my own supply chain, so to say.
So you happy to talk about those companies?
Fire away.
Tell me about a couple of companies. I'm going to start off. So Prop Guy?
Prop Guy, yes, that was a company I purchased in 2023? 2024.
More recently?
That's
last
it.
Year?
Christ, yes. May 2024, I purchased that. I just got a phone call saying Martin, Prop Guy's up for sale. And Steve at that time was the owner of Prop Guy, so I called Steve. Oh no, oh my goodness, yes, that was... I sat in the office, and then Prop Guy was located just like south of Cumbria, Blackpool area. And I called Steve up, who owned Prop Guy, and he said, yeah, it's for sale. I said, okay, I'll be with you in 5 hours. Because it took me 5 hours.
Yeah, to get there. Yeah,
flew there, straight in the car. How much money do you want? And we came up with a number. I said fine.
Wow, no messing about there.
I don't mess about.
No due diligence. No lawyers, solicitors. Just let's negotiate a deal. See if we get over the line.
Basically, Matt, I've got this, and I mean this in the nice possible way, but it might come across how I just like. What do you want so I don't have to see you again?
Yeah. I'll go then.
Some things are priceless, though.
Yeah.
Just went up there, did the deal, and he had this trailer sat, and I said, well, I'll give you that if I can have the trailer. So we chucked all the stock in the trailer, and I just drove
it back.
Drove it back.
Wow, absolutely. I kind of love that. So in my business world, you know, my day job, you know, it's all the opposite. Buying a business would take 6 months to a year.
Oh yes,
and the rest of it, and lots of backwards and forwards, and you know, and they don't always go through, and what have you. You never get the price, and so on and so forth. So here you're just able to say, make it happen.
Yes,
took the opportunity, got that on board, and obviously, I'm going to state the obvious. Prop Guy are a supplier of a wide range of propellers.
That was all it does, and the reason behind acquiring Prop Guy, one, it's a good market. Everyone needs propellers.
Yep. We all break them.
We all. I'd normally say unfortunately, but for running Prop Guy, fortunately, everyone breaks propellers. And I wanted a business in an industry that I knew the model aircraft industry. I didn't know the world associated with propellers, but I knew the industry. It's linked. So I wanted to sort of have a business, but figure out things like e-commerce and websites and supply chains.
All the bits of the puzzle that make this business work.
Correct.
Behind the scenes, back office.
Correct. Back office, behind the scenes. So that was very much kind of where Prop Guy.
Obviously, that wasn't the first one. I kind of jumped around a little bit there. No, but you've got Black Raven Aerosports.
That's it. So with Prop Guy, it's a great business. One of the problems with I guess a problem, but there's a lot of variants of propellers.
I can imagine.
And I hold probably just shy of about 4,000 propellers in stock at the moment.
Wow.
An awful lot of propellers. But I guarantee you, I'll always have the propeller. I won't have the propeller that someone wants.
Yes.
And the whole supply chain's manufacturing orders. So it can, if you're not on top of that business, people get, unfortunately, annoyed.
And I think that's just the sign of the times right now, isn't it? I think because of people like Amazon,
yes,
where you're used to going tap on your phone, click, and it turns up the same day or the next day. I think unfairly to businesses like yourself, expectations are, I want to buy something now and I want it yesterday.
Absolutely, and quite rightly. So they want it yesterday. Especially, everyone needs a propeller, but if you don't have a propeller, you can't fly.
Yeah.
And obviously, propellers aren't maybe not the cheapest part of the. It's 100, 120.
Yeah, carbon.
Carbon. If you're buying a turbo, you're upwards of £500, £600, £700
for really. Like, note to self: never going to turbo prop the propeller.
For a propeller, if someone's spending 30,000, 40,000 on a turbo prop, £700 for a prop.
Yeah.
It's just the market. So that business had a little bit of bad press around it when I took it on.
I'm aware.
So naturally, instead of thinking, how do I solve this, I thought I'll just buy another company and I'll merge Prop Guy into that company. So that was where Black Raven Aerosports came from.
Here's another one. Yeah. quick deal on the phone.
That was... I sat in that spot there and I go, I've got your numbers, I see Black Raven's not, how much do you want for it? And I thought it'd be a few £1,000s, and I was 10 minutes away and I got the invoice through and it was, that's okay, I'll still have it, but oh gosh.
I think perhaps we need to talk offline about the negotiations. Help you out on the next business.
Thank you, Matt. I might need. Yes, the seller got a wonderful deal. Yes. Anyway,
moving
forward, I acquired Black Raven. I was quite lucky at that point because I'd got the propellers. Also, kind of got the kind of distribution for Morris Mini Motors.
Nice
Products, which is like a range of Sato conversion, mainly Sato upgrades, conversions, exhaust range, prop hubs, intake manifolds, carbs, glow to petrol conversions, UMS engines, any big fancy radials.
Yeah. That's the way to go.
That's Black Raven.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Black
And
Raven.
so, I mean, that's awesome. I know there's other businesses as well, and there's possibly plans for other business. But if we go back to this umbrella, as I call
Yep.
it, the whole thing is really about helping other people. It's about helping people get into the hobby, in particular youth into
Yeah.
the hobby. Can we talk about that?
Absolutely, yes, love to.
Yeah. So so you said these businesses fund your mission. Effectively. And
Correct.
let's talk about that mission then. So and this is, I think I said in my intro, one of the many things I've now found out we have in common.
Yeah.
Is part of that mission. So let's talk to you about the mission.
Correct. So the mission's very much basically promoting the aviation into schools and universities, kind of via practical STEM engagement. And that's something that's very close to my heart.
Yeah.
And then there's kind of possibly runs a little bit in the family as well with kind of such causes. So it's kind of very much ingrained in me. And in order to kind of to deliver these products or be able to kind of deliver these kind of practical STEM engagements, that's kind of very much where I've had to acquire kind of Black Raven and Prop Guy to kind of get supply chains or different manufacturing accesses. It's all stuff I didn't want to do, but in order to do what I wanted to do, that was the route I had to.
So that's an enabler.
An enabler
to actually do the underlying mission, which is STEM, universities, supporting children, educating them around aviation.
Correct.
I know you've even gone as far as getting like 20 plus laptops together, flight simulators, which we see at all the shows as well. So thank you for doing that, because
No problem.
I'm a big fan of also helping people get into the hobby at a young age, because like yourself, I did.
Yes.
You know, and it's helped me and we've had an offline conversation about this. It's helped me in many, many different ways, and really helped me in business as where I am today.
Yeah.
As well, in running my own business, I can relate the skills I've had in later life all the way back to the hobby.
The hobby, yes.
So how is that all going? Talk to us about where you are with the education program.
That's going well. So throughout this year, it's kind of been doing the shows, which has been an experience, but kind of the profits from that. There's not been much, if I'm honest. It's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of work, but that's kind of enabled me to kind of buy some laptops, and I was very lucky enough to be given some other laptops. It's also provided a fantastic setting to be able to trial the simulator programs, and usually model shows are held on airfields, so that's also given some contacts to airfields where I've then been very fortunate enough to be able to kind of run STEM activity days for kids. So yeah, it's really, all going well.
It really is a feeder, so it's also a financial feeder.
Correct.
So that the other businesses are a financial feeder and an enabler to be able to do the passion, the mission of educating and supporting children. And you're really at that stage now where you're trying different things out and having different levels of success with that.
Correct. Yes. And it all stems from it. It's quite interesting when people in the model aircraft world, it sometimes the viewpoints, well, why do you want to create the next generation of aeromodelers or stuff like that? It's an important element, but the main element is when you're travelling, like with reality TV, travelling around the world, or you're meeting people, or you're in meetings with kind of CEOs of companies with thousands of massive companies, and you're with the CEO, and it's like, well, how did you get involved? And they go, well, I got a model aircraft when I was a kid, and that gave me an interest in engineering, and then I had to choose, almost similar to like my experience with the week's work experience. It kind of gives a little. It gives some sort of an experience to something that you might not have thought about previously. Then that led the CEOs on to kind of engineering, apprenticeships, and then they work their way up, and heck, now they're running
the business.
Now
they've got the career.
They're running the companies with the career, and then you speak to these people, and they go, well, there's such a massive skill shortage. There's no new people coming into this industry.
Yeah.
And really, to solve that, you just need a load of laptops.
Laptops, some flight simulators to get that.
And some chuck
passion.
gliders.
And some chuck gliders, yeah, going. And I'm going to just do a little link into
far away
to where we first met, or I think we were there, but we didn't actually have an opportunity to talk. And that was at Dan Hampson's event.
That's it.
Which was Big Up the Kids 2024. He's since run 2025 as well. And that was a similar kind of mission from Dan's point of view. And I think he actually went forward to the BMFA and won an award from BMFA for doing this. And it was really about getting 20 youth flyers together, all under the age of, I believe, of 17. I think we had Ruby was possibly one of the youngest.
Little about 4.
Yeah, just little dinky dot.
Best.
Absolutely cute. And it was a whole weekend of just having fun. And he brought children together that didn't know each other.
Correct.
Hung out, had some sort of interest in it. Some could fly and were one end of the scale. Others were still learning. We had people pass A certification at that time as well, the British Model Flying Association A certification, and some Bs as well. And it was just absolutely awesome. And I was luckily invited along. To have a fly myself, meet people and just socialise it and publicise it. And we just put stuff all over Facebook and YouTube and had good fun with it. And so much so that the success was there. So it's great to see that other people like yourself and myself are really trying to encourage that next generation of flyer into it, not only because I think it's a great skill set to have, because it's not just about the skill set of I can move some sticks in a different direction
and do some twiddling.
I've learned about aerodynamics, I've learned about balance, I've learned about flight. One of the skills I had as a youngster was the ability to talk to people. Because I was flying with, like you said earlier on, people that were twice my age. I had my best buddy, who was still a buddy now with me, who's my age, and it was just us, and everybody else was, a granddad or or father, probably 30 years plus. And I learned how to come out of my shell as a very introverted person, as an introverted child. So there's all sorts of different life skills around it that you can get from this absolutely incredible hobby. So hopefully we've got some of the younger generation who spend a lot of time on social media and hopefully may come across this YouTube video. So what can we sort of say to encourage them? What else can we say to encourage them to pick up the sticks or come along to one of the shows where you may be, have a go on a flight simulator? What sort of words of wisdom or encouragement?
Words of that, I think it'd be interesting. There's various things I could say, but one would be just simply kind of everyone's been in the position there. I remember for the first time, I was just local flying club, and I remember when I was 17, 18 going up to Weston Park for the first time, and I knew nobody. I knew nobody at Weston Park, and it was so just purely terrifying, or like the early fly-ins I did. It was you're daunted. You kind of see these people on social media or Facebook or YouTube, and it's like, Jesus, it's is this? Oh my goodness! I don't know what to do. I'm speechless. So you sort of, I always found myself like there'd be shows, and I would just hide myself in my car until someone called me about picking up their aeroplane or something like that. Just kind of hide in the car, and I guess. And kind of as I got older, I was able to kind of meet people on the flight line, or people you're like, oh my goodness, it's X, Y, and Z. And they all went, oh yeah, well, we started in the same position. I was terrified of the first show I went to. So it's a case of just get yourself to a show, go to a local flying club, just make those steps.
I think you're completely right. So if you are watching this and you don't know about local flying clubs, there's a website called British Model Flying Association, so BMFA. Just put that into your search engine, into Google, and on there they've got a club finder. And what they're currently doing at the moment, they have an initiative to all the clubs to sign up to have open days or to invite people along who don't know anything about the hobby, because we are all trying to grow the hobby. So go along, have a look, and you'll be surprised at how many people are out there that are absolutely willing to help you come along. I know I've had new people come along before, and I've had a training plane ready to go on a safety buddy box system where two systems are connected together, so you can safely have a go of it to see whether you like it. But also just get out there and ask questions, and no question is a silly question when you're learning something new. But I want to bring us back to a point that we both share as well. And if you are watching this and you are at the school age, and if you're not at the school age, you want to try it out, but in particular if you are at school age and you're not academic, So, you struggle to learn, or you don't enjoy learning through school. I myself didn't get many GCSEs. My highest GCSE was a grade D. I know it's all graded differently right now, but you need a C or above, C, B or an A to be success, if you like.
Oh, yes.
I went on to college through engineering and then stumbled my way into IT, only to engineering because of the aviation and the background. But don't worry, because we all learn differently. We're all different people. We all learn differently, and we can still learn, and we can still get enjoyment, and we can still do a hobby like this to lead to a successful career.
100%.
And the career is successful as you make it and as you want to make it. You don't have to have that CEO position and inspired to run thousands of businesses or whatever it is. You can just be happy doing the role you are in the business, but it's a segue, it's a lead into a job.
Absolute, yeah. Spot and I recently did a survey, and I don't have the data to hand. Admittedly, I asked everyone within the aeromodelling field, so the results could be a little bit biased. But it's amazing how many people, exactly the journey that yourself and myself have been. It's surprising, and it's also surprising the amount of people that have done model aeroplane. It's very surprising how high
it is. I actually have a couple of. So in my world, in my business world, the social media platform is called LinkedIn. And I actually have a couple of connections on LinkedIn who have reached out to me on LinkedIn because of the connection in the model world.
Yeah.
And they happen to be in exactly the same industry as me, which is managed service providers, MSPs. And it's just ironic. It's just ironic how it goes. So it definitely can be done. So almost in closing then, Martin, hopefully it's been interesting to people watching, and feel free to add comments down below on this video clip or on Facebook if you see it as well, and we'll do our best to respond to those for you. Happy to do that. But what's next for you? I mean, it's been so fast moving, at the grand old age you are at the moment.
Oh, I know. With my first set of glasses and everything on that,
But what is next?
What's next? Very much what's next. It's the world.
And we'll stop there.
The
world domination.
World domination. No, very much. Every school, every university. I want to have some form of connection or association with which is I'd say very achievable. All the Black Raven prop guy you'll see in this tiny little office. None of the products there. Everything's being set up for upscaling. So
yes.
And everything that I've acquired or got at the moment will last me for the rest of my life and the rest of the life of the business. So yes, every school, every university in the UK, and then hopefully the world from there.
I don't know if you know of Flight Test.
Oh yes, Josh and Mel. Yeah.
I've actually had a conversation with Josh.
Yeah.
Because I was actually in talks to them about doing something in the UK.
Yeah.
A year or so ago, but it fell flat. But their mission is
very similar
to that. So definitely glad you got them as a connection. So just to finish with, then let's do some quick fire.
Fire away, Matt.
If we can.
We're all ready. It's like a game of tennis.
It is a game of tennis. So, favourite aircraft?
Oh, P-51 Mustang.
Instantly answered.
Yes.
Amazing aircraft. Do you have one?
Yes, one upstairs. I can show you.
Yeah. Absolutely awesome. We'll try and get a photograph of that in a minute. Most expensive mistake?
Oh, I try and look on the positive side. When those happened, I think I've learnt twice as much than I would have done in a university degree in half the amount of time, but it has cost me 10 times as much.
It's cost you 10 times as much to life.
Reasonable sums of money. Reasonable.
Yeah.
You look back and think, I could have got a couple of houses, but instead I've spent it on some laptops and some aeroplanes.
But you seem to be a very positive person, a very energetic person, and I think, like we said before, you have to learn mistakes, don't you? You have to learn from mistakes. You have to make mistakes.
You do. My philosophy with that, I always say to myself, 1%. I just have to give 1% more than what everyone else. So when I sat here and it's all going wrong or just it's not going to plan, I always just think I just have to do something. Whether that's get a laptop set up just to trial something or list something for sale, just 1% more.
Fair enough. Back to quickfire. Best flying moment?
I'd probably actually say Western Park this year with the Ravens.
Yeah, I saw videos of that. Unfortunately, I wasn't there this year.
No, that's fine. That was a little. I've done it.
Yeah, did you make your skin just?
I was proud.
Yeah, well done.
Considering the first time I went to that show, I sat in my car terrified because I didn't know anyone, and then there I was. After the show, people would come up and go, well, it was the most exciting slot of the day.
Was there 20 Ravens in there?
15.
15, yeah. I think it was a big number. Yeah, well, shows a big...
I was very proud.
Awesome, and thank you to all the pilots that helped with that as well.
Big shout out.
We got a lot of attention at Western Park. We hope to see you again there in next year.
Next year, yes. There's the group chat is already popping off for next year. So
excellent.
Yes, fingers crossed.
So one thing aviation gave you that nothing else could.
I was thinking of this earlier. It's given me everything. Everything from the age of 7 has somehow directly or indirectly been related to model aircraft. So I genuinely don't know life without aviation.
Nice, very nice. And that's all, but I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope that's been okay.
It's been great fun,
Matt.
Matt.
It's not been painful.
No.
But I do have a little something for you. As it is Christmas, guys, this is actually being filmed the week before Christmas, and I'm going to try and get this edited and out by Christmas. I'm going to try. Things are difficult at the moment. I haven't got a lot of time, but I'm going to try my very best. But as it's Christmas, I've got a little something for you, so bear with me.
You're very kind, Matt. This is
genuinely
not scripted, so I am most surprised.
Say. You say I'm very kind, but you haven't seen what I've actually put in the box. So feel free to open up on the spot.
Open on the spot, like an unboxing.
If you're okay with opening.
I feel bad. It's too neatly wrapped, so I feel bad.
There's a story behind the wrapping because it isn't neatly wrapped. Because that was the first thing I had to do this morning when I woke up at 6:30.
Oh no, I've got to wrap Martin's present. Well, thank you to Matt, and if you're not already subscribed to Matt Tacker RC, then do so now while I unbox.
Thank you very much. Yep, hit the subscribe button and don't get a notification bell so you know when the next video is coming out.
There we go. Oh, look at this. Oh, it's a box.
It's going to be such an anticlimax.
It'll be. It's a. Oh my goodness! This is probably not the neatest way one could open a box. Oh my goodness, Matt! It's a great the Matt Tacker RC. Oh, I told you you'd be disappointed. No, I'm not. This is brilliant. It can replace the Disney mug I've got at the moment, which is somewhere off screen. So
and it is a limited edition, and the reason why it's limited is because I only ordered 10. That's the last one.
That's the last. Well, thank you for that, Matt. That's very much appreciated.
Martin, it's been an absolute pleasure. You're such a great person, great character, and I really admire your success story. I admire what you've achieved from the age of 7 to where you are today. I admire the fact that you are so passionate about encouraging other people, and you've gone further with it than I've done. You're doing a different angle, and I'd love to see that. We can't wait to see what you do next, and we can't wait to see what the next 10 years bring and what happens. But I wish you all the best of it and all the success.
Thank you, Matt. Much appreciated.
It's been a pleasure. Cheers, Martin.
No worries.
Thanks.